Today, for the very first time, I get to listen to the brand new album from German metal band We Butter the Bread with Butter, called Das Album. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another album review / reaction here on my channel. Thank you for joining me if this is your very first time on the channel. Thank you for coming back if you've seen any of my videos in the past. If you haven't seen any of my videos, know that basically what's going to happen is I'm going to talk a little bit about the band and a few other things at the beginning of the video. Then what I'm going to do is take the CD, put it in my CD player, and listen all the way through the album from front to back for the very first time while giving you my feedback in real time. And then after I'm done listening to the album, I will do a sort of a review, if you will, or sort of give you my overall thoughts on the album. So if you want to skip to any of those sections that I just mentioned, or if you have a favorite track that you'd like to see my reaction to and you just want to skip to that, I will include timestamps in the description of this video to all the different relevant sections, including, like I said, each individual track if you want to do that. Also, I want to mention that in the description of this video, if you want to listen along with me, which I highly recommend, I will include a link to listen along on Spotify. So feel free to do that. If you have your own copy of the album, listen to it that way. However you want to listen to the album, it's up to you. Another thing I want to say before I get into anything else is that I will not be including any actual audio from the album in this video. I find it's better to avoid copyright that way, and also I don't want to take anything away from We Butter the Bread with Butter. So just know you will be hearing maybe a little bit of bleed from my headphones into the microphone. That's why I kind of try to have the microphone a little closer to me while I'm recording, so you can get a little sense for where I'm at if you're not listening along with me. However, like I said, if you want to listen along, link is in the description for that. So we are here with We Butter the Bread with Butter, which is a band that I like, and I'm going to talk about them a little bit more in a second. But first of all, I have to say, I was embarrassed a little bit ago because in my last few videos, I have been talking about the next albums that I'm looking forward to doing, some of which were this new We Butter the Bread with Butter album, and then also the Lord of the Lost album that came out earlier this year. I was really looking forward to that. And then I have a Frost for the progressive electronic English band Frost, their new album that came out this year, quite a bit ago, earlier in the year, I think in April. And then also a new album by the band Zeromancer that came out. And when I was thinking about that list of albums that was coming out, I thought, oh, We Butter the Bread with Butter, Zeromancer, and Lord of the Lost, those are all German bands. And so I thought, sweet, I can do like a little celebration of awesome German music and just Germany in general, even though I personally don't know that much about it. But I thought, I'll put some cool German stuff that I have around me. In all my videos, I always hide sort of Easter eggs and cool things that I have around my house here in the background of the video on the shelves and whatnot. And so I thought I'll put some cool German stuff out, maybe some albums from some of my favorite German bands like Oomph over here, and one behind me there, some different things like that, some Grimm fairy tale books, things like that. And so I was like, okay, what I need to do is create a list of all my favorite German bands and make sure that I kind of shout all of them out to celebrate German music. Well, this is where the embarrassment comes in. And I don't know why, and I really can't explain this very well, but of all the bands that I truly love that I thought were German bands, 3 of them who I consider to be some of my favorite German bands, are in fact not German bands. And it shocked me to the core. I have been thinking for years that VNV Nation was a German band, but they are not. It turns out Ronan Harris was born in Ireland, I believe. So you could have fooled me. Now, I did read for this band, and I believe all the bands that I'm going to mention here that are not German, I read that they were all very popular in Germany. So I don't know if that's maybe why I thought. But anyway, VNV Nation is not German. Apoptygma Berserk is not German, which I was certain they were German, but they are from Norway. And also from Norway is a band called Zeromancer, which I mentioned a little bit ago because they have an album that just came out that I am planning on doing a reaction to like this. And I found out that they are from Norway. I have just thought forever that they were from Germany. And I think the reason I thought they were from Germany specifically was because they have references to Germany in their music. They have a song called Germany. They have a song called A Wiedersehen Boy, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, A Wiedersehen is oh, that might be Austrian. But I thought that was a German term, but it might be because doesn't Arnold Schwarzenegger say A Wiedersehen? Anyway, I thought that Zeromancer was a German band, and I found out that they are Norwegian. And so I was going to have my Zeromancer albums out here, my A-pop albums, my V&V Nation albums, a couple other bands that are from Germany. I believe Legend is from Germany, though I could be wrong about that. I didn't check that one. Emil Bulls, a band that I truly, truly love, a sweet metal band that if you like We Butter the Bread with Butter, you may want to check out. Their last album is called Mixtape Volume 1, I believe, and it is an all covers album. Really, really cool. They have a sweet cover of Billie Eilish's You Should See Me in a Crown. I'll put like a picture of that somewhere around me up here of the video or something, because it is really cool. So I recommend looking up Emil Bulls. But I did find some cool stuff that I had sitting around the house that is from Germany that I thought might be a little bit interesting. So first off, I found these at Goodwill actually earlier this year. These are and if you're from Germany, this stuff obviously is going to be totally normal to you. For context, I live in the middle of Nebraska, in the middle of the United States. There is a very, very large German population here of immigrants that moved in the 1800s. I myself am not German. I am Czech, and I believe I am mostly fully Czech. I have never done any of those DNA ancestor checks or anything like that, but everyone in my family that I know of is Czech, and so we just consider ourselves to be Czech. But if you look online, Nebraska has a lot of Czech immigrants, a lot of Bohemian immigrants, a lot of German immigrants, and currently actually one of the largest populations of Sudanese people in the United States as well. So that's a cool little trivia for you there. But anyway, at the Goodwill near me, I found these 2 copies of Lord of the Rings, or should I say Der Herr der Ring, Die Zwei Turme. I do not speak German. I should mention that here. I only speak English, and probably, as you can tell already, not that great in the first place. But we got Der Herr der Ring, Die Zwei Turme, which is the 2 towers. And then we have Return of the King, or Der Herr der Ring, Die Gefahrten. Again, I am going to look at names in the book of the CD here and all sorts of things that I can't pronounce. But hey, this is a celebration of Germany and their awesome music and their cool culture, which I really enjoy, even if I don't think that what I think is German is actually their culture. So whatever, you know what I mean. So we have Lord of the Rings here. This I also found at Goodwill. I was very excited about this, one of my favorite book series of all time. This is the first Aragon book in German. So Aragon, and then some words that I can't pronounce as well, all in German. Very cool. Now, why do I have these things, you may ask, if I don't speak German? And I don't really intend on learning German. It would be cool if I could learn several other languages throughout my life, but I've never really attempted that. Maybe something to do in the future, but for right now, I have no plans on learning another language. But why would I have these things around here? Because I think they're cool, and because I look at them as sort of limited edition, foreign editions of really cool things that I like in my life. And I have a little bit of room on my bookshelf for cool things, and so that's what I like to keep there, cool things. So the last thing I have here that's sort of the modern stuff is one of my all-time favorite books from one of my all-time favorite series, the Harry Potter series, and my favorite Harry Potter book, The Order of the Phoenix. This is the awesome German edition of Order of the Phoenix that my friend, or actually as it's called here, Harry Potter und der Orden des Phoenix, or Phoenix, the O with the little 2 dots above it. Und der Orden des Phoenix, we'll just say, and I apologize. But, I have found 2 other cool German things here while I was looking around. These 2 cool old books that I have, and I think that this actually is one of the oldest books that I own. I got both of these books in the same box at an auction of a box of different books and whatnot. These were two old ones in there, and I saw them, and I thought, that's cool, I'll get that box. If nobody else wanted it, nobody wanted it, so I got it for $2.50. This is a very cool book, and as I mentioned, this is one of the oldest books I believe I have. I'm not going to be able to hold it up, and you'll see it. The writing is too small, but it says, entered according to the Act of Congress in the year of 1883. So this is a very cool, I do not know what it is. It has sections in the book that look like this. I'm going to assume it's probably some religious or educational book, because that's what a lot of stuff around here is, whether it's in English or German or Czech or whatever it happens to be. But there's the cover again. If you want to see that, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. And then in that same box, there was this very cool little book here that I got. That is, it says, this one I guess I'll try, but it's written in script that I can. It's Wartburg Liederbuch. Wartburg Liederbuch. But this is printed in Chicago, and this book is a little bit newer. This is from 1917, so almost 20 years, actually more than 20 years newer than that. But this is cool because it's just basically a song book with some music and lyrics. So on this page over here is I'm not sure, there you go, O Tannenbaum in German. So very cool. This is a neat book that I have looked through. I don't recognize most of the songs, but I assume most of them are sort of German folk songs, or maybe it's just, I mean, O Tannenbaum's sort of a kind of a Christmas song, though I don't know if it necessarily was intended to be that back in the 1910s, the late 1910s, but yeah, so I just thought that was pretty cool. And I do have a couple other things around me. I just encourage you to look around me here and see. I have my sweet Der Strumpelpeter book, Max and Moritz over here. Anyone that's German should probably recognize those two things. I just learned about those two books earlier this year from my German friend Aurelia, who works on the podcast that I work for online, the Harry Potter podcast. So shout out to Aurelia and everyone from Germany who makes incredible music, whether I know it's from your country or not. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Except for Rammstein, not a big fan of Rammstein, but, you know, not going to go there. Where we are going to go, though, is to We Butter the Bread with Butter. And so, right away I have to say, here's my package that I haven't opened yet from Amazon. This is the new album, Das Album. I, right away, need to sort of clear my mind and accept that this is not going to sound like the We Butter the Bread with Butter that I know and love. Up until about an hour ago when I did a smidge of research for this, because I don't try to do too much, I don't want to know too much about the bands or the albums before I do my reaction to them, I found out that the We Butter the Bread with Butter has 5 albums now total, including the new one, but 4 before this new one came out. And of those 4 albums, the first 2 have a singer who left the band after their second album, and then their second 2 albums, which are these 2, Goldkinder and Wiedergiel. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Wiedergiel. These 2 albums have a different singer. And one of the things that I love so much about We Butter the Bread with Butter is their singer. I think he has one of the most unique and incredible screaming voices in all of metal. I think that like a lot of metal singers, he has a high-pitched sort of scream, higher scream, and then a low guttural brrr type of scream, grunt, growl. And he does both of those really well, and he can do them with certain pitches and everything, so he can actually sing while screaming. And Goldkinder, which is the first album of theirs that I got and is the most recent album that I do have, because I do not have their first 2 albums. I listened to samples of them when I first found out who they were, and I remember at the time, and I haven't looked them up now for years, but I remember at the time being a little turned off of the fact that all the songs seemed like they were very short. And so I listened to some samples and I thought, this doesn't really sound like the same band at all. All the songs are very short, still very intense and heavy, but not really what I was looking for after I found Goldkinder. But I found out about it and I purchased the CD, and this album is one of my all-time favorite metal bands. But I guess I should finish my thought there. So I just found out about an hour ago that the singer who sings on these two albums, whose name I cannot pronounce and I apologize, and I'll maybe try in a second, but the singer who was on these two albums left the band, and their original singer came back for Das Album, the new album. And so I don't know what to think about that. On one hand, I'm incredibly disappointed because the vocals on these two albums were some of my favorite parts of the album. I think that, like I mentioned, I love the combination of the higher pitched scream and then the guttural growls, and then doing those both together, and the layering of vocals was done incredibly well by the singer, and I really, 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 really like that aspect of it. Now, these two albums are incredibly different from one another, and like their first two albums are from these two albums as well. So I really don't know what to expect. Hold on, my table is squeaking. I really don't know what to expect with this new album, but I know that with Goldkinder, which just so happens to be one of my favorite metal albums of all time, there are several factors on this album that make it really stand out to me, one of them being the keyboard work. I think the keyboards are really cool. I think they remind me on some of the songs a lot of like Sega Genesis soundtracks and specifically Sonic the Hedgehog soundtracks. There are keyboard and synth sounds on this album that I've never heard used on metal albums before, and I really, really like that. Apart from that, the whole album is mixed really well. It's not super incredibly low and chunky, which is kind of what they were going for on this album. It's mixed much more like a guitar album as opposed to like a bass or kick and bass drum album. And there's not a lot of like trap influence or anything or hip hop influence on this album at all, which is what this album is in spades. It's a lot more German sort of industrial metal that you would think of from a band like Rammstein or Oomph or something like that, but significantly heavier with more metal aspects to it. There's a lot of drum and bass, faster guitar riffs and things like that. Not a lot of crazy lead guitar riffs, and to my knowledge, I don't think there's no guitar solos on the album at all. One of the things that I do like about it is that there are no clean vocals on the album at all either. Yes, I know that there are a few moments where there's kind of clean vocals, but there's really never a moment where the song is sung by the singer. It's all screaming, and I love that. There are very melodic moments, though. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of really cool melodic moments. There are some synths that remind me of sort of like Depeche Mode type synths from like maybe the mid to late 80s. Depeche Mode sort of sounding stuff. That's very cool. This album is very full. It's 13 full-length tracks. All of them really cool, very heavy, and really unique sounding, in my opinion, for this album. It's a solid album from front to back, one that you can... I would actually give this album probably a perfect 10. I think it's mixed really good. The production is really good. The elements that they put together for the songs are really good. The melodies of the songs are really good. The songwriting is really good. The song structuring is very good. Anyone that's watched my channel before knows that song structures are very important to me. And almost all of the songs on this album are intro, verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus, bridge, chorus, done. I love that. That's the way that I like my music to be. I understand that there's all sorts of different progressive things you can do with music, and nowadays it's much more common to have shorter songs with less sections to them. The last album I just did a reaction to was Spirit Box, and their formula was intro, verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus, and then a heavy part, which could be considered sort of like a bridge or just the third part of the song, and then that was it. It did not go back to the chorus a third time, but they did do that on this album, and that's one of the things I love about it, the structuring. It is an album that I know is made for me. Every aspect of it I love. Then we get to Wieder Geil, or Gale, and this album I really like as well. I don't like it as much as Goldkinder, but Goldkinder is like almost an impossibly high standard for me in terms of them ever having an album this good. But very important album to me. Wieder Geil, though, really cool. I think that it's heavier, it's mixed heavier, and when I first got it, I thought to myself, wow, this is one of the best mixed metal albums I've ever heard. Now, upon listening to it more, I think what I was hearing was metal mixed in a slightly different way. it was metal mixed in a way if they were going for almost like a hip hop aesthetic kind of. There's a lot of cool programmed drums. There's some trap beats. There's like hi-hat patterns and things like that that make it feel a lot more contemporary and hip hop feeling, basically, or rap feeling. And I loved all that stuff. I love that influence. I love all the keyboards. There are moments without guitars, moments without anything on this album that are really cool, that there's no part of the band playing, maybe just some singing and some crazy electronic stuff. But when it does get heavy, it gets very heavy. The riffs were chunky, sort of djenty, very low, detuned. And the guitars I thought sounded great. The bass I thought sounded great. But when I listened to it more, I realized that what they were doing was sort of unique at the time for them. This album came out when? Back in 2015. Wow, so it's been 6 years since this album. And I wonder if the band kind of broke up for a while, and with their new singer, the old singer coming back. I did find out that they were sort of considered a duo, this band. And then they have different people playing with them. I know that the pictures here always in these two albums depict 4 people in the band, and they have hilarious photos always in these 2 albums at least. So I'm expecting that for this new one as well. But yeah, so this album, I think one of the cool aspects I like for Wieder Gale is the horror aspect of it. There's a song about the Exorcist. The last song is called Zombie, which is kind of cool because today's the first day of October. So we're feeling really getting into the fall mood here, the autumn mood. There's also like a tongue-in-cheek on this album that I think was there with this album, with Goldkinder, but I wasn't really aware of it because the tongue-in-cheek aspects weren't really in the music. I think they were there maybe in the vocals a little bit, which I do not understand, and I did not look up any translations. If you're not familiar with Where We Butter the Bread with Butter, I guess I should say, almost every song they have that I've heard is in German. Every song on this album is in German, though there is one song I believe that has some Spanish. And then maybe a little bit of English thrown in here and there. There are a few English songs on this album. We have Rockstar and I think Thug Life are the 2 that are, or maybe Bang 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 and Rockstar are in English. The rest of them are in German. Oh, Zombie Bitch is also a English one. But I prefer when they do the German because I think that that's what they do best, and that's what I like the most off these 2 albums. The English songs on here, they were trying to be a little bit like, it almost felt like they were making fun of sort of like the ghetto hardcore like rap scene, like Lil Wayne and stuff that was super popular at the time in 2015. There's also a little bit of moments of like dubstep and trap music, like I said. And what was that style of that song that was super popular, with the guy falling through the floor in the music video? Turned Down for What? Stuff like that. That's referenced on this album in the music. And so that's where the sort of tongue-in-cheek aspect comes in for this. So now, apart from these 2 albums, I've never heard or really paid attention to anything else We Butter the Bread with Butter has done. Though they did do a song, I want to say a couple years ago, that had a YouTube video that went a little viral where they were playing their instruments in a white room with the dinosaur costume, the Tyrannosaurus Rex Halloween costume. And that video I saw, and I kind of remember thinking, this isn't the greatest thing in the world, but I watched a little bit of it and I was like, hey, it sounds like We Butter the Bread with Butter. I'll just let it sit, and when their new album comes out, I'll listen to it at that point. Because even before I was doing reactions, I try not to listen to singles very much. I definitely am an album guy. I want to listen to the album as a whole and treat it as sort of like a whole piece of art, which is what it is. So those are sort of my thoughts on the We Butter the Bread with Butter that I've experienced so far. But like I sort of was alluding to earlier, because the singer's gone, I really don't know what to expect with this new album. I think that they gained a lot of popularity with like reaction channels last year for being sort of like people who don't know We Butter the Bread with Butter may like have their fans in their comments of their YouTube reaction channels like recommend, well, you got to listen to We Butter the Bread with Butter. And they listen to it and it's sort of like a German Rammstein hip hop mashup dubstep, modern music, like guys being funny but incredibly heavy, hipster clothes, like thing. Like, it's shocking to someone that's not really in the metal know-how, the metal in the know for the metal scene, that sort of style of music even really exists. And so I think that because that is sort of one of the reasons they've gained a little popularity over the last 2 years here, I'm expecting with this new album that we are going to hear we're going to hear a lot of electronic elements, which I think would follow, stay true to form for all of the We Butter the Bread with Butter stuff that I know, both of their albums here. Let me just do this. It will be simpler. But I think that, let me open the album and I'll get into what I think it is going to be. Okay, slipcase. Looks like with one fold, very similar to the Red album over there. DOS album, here's the front. And it's a picture of a toaster with some bread, which is pretty cool because that means we butter the bread with butter. They're getting into the actual name of the band. It looks like there's 13 songs. That's sweet. Although the first track says DOS album intro. Yeah, so let's open this and look through the liner notes, even though I'm going... One thing I was going to say, and as I look at it, it looks like maybe there's a couple of English songs, but I was really hoping that they stayed with their roots and what they've traditionally been as a band. I was really hoping that they would stay with singing in German and not try to sort of just appeal to the English-speaking American audience that finds them sort of like shocking and almost funny, which... I understand that they're going for sort of like comedic aspects, but comedy metal isn't really like one of my favorite genres of metal. And I'm not necessarily saying that they're comedy metal, but I want to listen to this and I want to chuckle. I want to grin. I want to have like a smile on my face because what they're doing with the music is like funny in a way that like is poking fun at stuff and a little parody maybe. And I want it to be clever. I don't want it to just be... that was kind of one of the reasons I didn't like Thug Life or even Rockstar off of the Red album. Like, it just seemed like it was trying too hard to be what it was, if that makes sense. I want it to be tongue-in-cheek, that's fine, but not too tongue-in-cheek. Okay, so you open the album. There's a pretty funny picture of the guys here. And then it just says, hello, there. Hello. 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 Just Voynich. That's funny. Just seeing hello makes me do that. Nice. It says, okay, let's take a look at the book. Oh, there's something else in here too. That's cool. Is this from the record label maybe? It is. That's cool. I haven't gotten an album that had an album or an label insert in quite a while. Most bands are doing stuff themselves. Okay, I know nobody watching this really cares, but wow. Flotsam and Jetsam have a new album came out that they are really going in on the vinyl. I'm not going to look at this too much. Just see if I recognize any of the bands here. We butter the bread with butter. So we have, there's one band on here that I recognize and that I really love, and that is Evergrey. I don't know if they're from Germany or not. Hey, Google, where is the band Evergrey from?
Evergrey originated in Gothenburg, Sweden.
Oh, Sweden. Of course, that makes sense that they would be Gothenburg metal. Okay, cool. Well, Evergrey's new album came out this year, and I didn't do a reaction to that, but I have not listened to it intentionally throughout the year because I wanted to see if I wanted to do a reaction to it or not. But I know it's out there. Okay, so now we got the booklet here. It looks like there's some like almost eggs or something on here. DOS album. We have the... Oh, I love the pink color of this. Love this. Looks like German song. Looks like it's almost all in German, and I love that. I'm really oh wait, nope. There, it looks like there's some German mixed with some English on some of the songs. Not a lot going on in the book here. There's another picture of the band there. All the other pages are just sort of like variations of the sort of yellow object that would look like an egg yolk almost or something with the pink. It's a cool aesthetic. It really is a cool aesthetic, and I do like that. Yeah. Okay, so I don't... Is there a page that has... I don't see any credits. All right, well, let's not prolong this anymore. Let's put the album in the CD player and let's listen to new We Butter the Bread with Butter. I really don't want to be disappointed with this. I'm going to try really hard not to just be like, oh, this doesn't sound as good as this album, or this doesn't sound as good as this album, because I don't want to do that. I want to try to approach it. So I'm going to try to think of this album as a band that I have never heard before. So, all right, everybody, get ready for what I assume is going to be a ride. Oh, hold on, wait. I got one thing I have to do yet. I almost forgot this. Hold on. Magic trick. Look right here at the table. Mountain Dew, baby. That's what I got to listen to this album with. And in the bottom of my glass, there's a little bit of ice from, I believe it's a combination of some Blue Mountain Dew Voltage and maybe some lemonade and a smidge of red Kool-Aid. That's where you're getting the red color from. All right, and I had it in the freezer, so we get a little bit of... We got a slush, baby. Basically, it is a slushy. All right, the CD is in. The headphones are going on. I assume that this album is going to be a trip. I assume this album is going to be heavy. And I'm going to just assume that this album is going to be awesome. So let's go. I'm hitting play right now. Hold on, if you're listening on Spotify, I'll tell you right when the first track is starting. Right. It's loading. Now. Okay, synth right in the middle. Just repeating synth. Okay, a little warbling, sort of almost 80s sounding synth in there. In the middle, so far everything panned to the middle, though some reverb on the drums, I think maybe very low pass on the drums. Okay, pattern. That's almost like it's some sort of like almost like a wooden sound. We've got some more synths coming up on the sides. This is the album intro, by the way. Guess I will have the book out, even though I can't read the lyrics. Oh, here's some guitars. So now we're on to track 2. Whoa. Okay, the vocals are a little low, is the first thing I'm noticing on this track. Ooh. Ooh, he's got like a gremlin voice. He's got like a Necrogoblicon voice. Oh, yeah. Interesting. Okay. Yes. Okay, there's some almost like a psycho-y sounding synth there. Whoop, 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 whoop. My first impression was that the guitars sounded really bad. But I don't think that anymore. That might have just been an effect they had on the first guitars when the song first kind of kicked in. The kick drum does not sound the greatest, and the snare, to me, my first impression of the snare is not good, really, either. Okay, the song just stopped. Okay, we got some, like, dubstep-y stuff almost going here. That snare thing that's like a sort of a happening has massive reverb on it. Oh, cool. Those claps sound really good and big. So because of the reverb that's being used, it sounds like this is in a giant, massive room. Now, I can tell all these sounds were just dry sounds that they then added reverb to. Ooh. Okay, so his voice is very different from the singer of the two albums I'm much more familiar with, but that's okay. I like it. I like his voice. Oh, yeah. Yes, this is great. The kick is so... It's such a metal kick, which I wasn't necessarily expecting. Obviously, they're a metal band. Okay, here's a little trap section. Cool. Oh, his voice just has this gruffness to it I love. And he did have the sort of Necrogoblicon. Okay, so that's track 1. Woo! We're going to sweat a lot here, I feel. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is 20 kilometers per hour. I think this is one of their singles that they had like a video of online, but I did not watch it. Yes. Oh yeah. Switching it up to the higher string there. Love it. Oh yeah. Okay, we're getting to the Japanese metal here. Love it. Okay, got some pitch shifted vocals in there. Very modern. Lot of... Oh, the more I'm listening to it, the more I'm loving the guitars. They don't sound too... They're white noisy guitars. They're not fuzzy sounding. They're overdriven, but fuzzy as well. Yes. Oh yeah, lots of overdubs, feels heavy. It does have a similar feel to the previous, to this album specifically, not so much like this. Love this. Now this vocal, it sounds much more spread left and right. It's multiple takes of the same thing, overdubs, not harmony vocals or different, like up high or low. It was the same part, the singing part, spread wide left, wide right, and there was a track in the middle. Ooh, that's cool. That's a cool voice. I want to hear more of that. But I like the low guttural as being sort of the place to start with always. The low growl voice. Yes, please. Yes, this reminds me of Mook. One of my favorite metal bands of all time. So that was actually like a da-da-da-da-da-da. That was a part that was played on a keyboard. That's very cool. Or programmed. Could have programmed it with a mouse. So now we're back to the... Now what I was saying was we have a far left vocal and a far right vocal. And I'm not hearing a lot of vocal signal in the middle. But what they're doing is they're playing with the vocals a lot, which is what they've done on all their previous albums. When you have vocals spread and you have a high vocal and a low vocal. Essentially, you have the high scream, the guttural growl, and you have some clean vocals. What you can do is spread those out on the sides with your overdubs so that it actually feels different. Most singers, when they're singing, they can sing and have overdubs on the left, on the right, so it can sound wide, it can sound in the middle, it can sound in the middle. We're on track 4 now, starting with what sounds like some rain. But what I was saying was, you can have when you have the high vocals and the low vocals, what you can do is you can have a low vocal in the middle just by itself and be heavy. You can have a high vocal in the middle itself and be heavy. Or you can have a high vocal in the middle with low vocal overdubs on the sides to make it incredibly heavy. Or you can reverse that and have a low vocal in the middle with high vocal overdubs on the sides. You have a lot more options that you can do without it feeling necessarily off-putting or out of place. Because as long as it's heavy, intense vocals, wherever they're placed on the spectrum, wherever they're going along with, okay, a little bit more clean vocals here. Okay. There's a bit more of this sort of rah, rah. I will say this is reminding me a little bit more of like the sort of hectic, crazy Japanese metal that has become a bit of a niche type of thing in the last... I mean, I know Japanese metal has always been a little bit more crazy, but it's been a bit more of like a shticky type of thing to do. You know, when you think of Japanese metal, there's... You know, I mean, it's different for everybody, obviously, but there's sort of something that comes to mind to me specifically when I think of Japanese metal. And like chaotic, hectic, you know, very stop and go, including all sorts of different genres as well into the music. That's what this is. Very chaotic. Burp, 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 burp. Oh, that was almost like pig squeal vocals there. Oh. This is awesome. There's like a swagger to this that I was afraid that while listening to this, if this happened, where all the metal and everything, the band just went away and there were just these sort of like swagger parts, that I wouldn't be feeling it. And oh man, they're doing it right. I don't know how they would perform this live. Not that that matters to me at all. I'm one of those people that thinks you should leave everything in the studio, regardless of how it can be performed, or if it can't even be performed at all. So far, I'm hearing certain parts that repeat, which is really nice. I wasn't sure with the aspects of music, the modern elements of music that they're pulling from, like that song only felt like it was about half the length it should be. Okay, that's an incredibly long word. We're on track. I'm going to try to pronounce this. Schreverenfachwerkhofer. Nah. Whatever. At first, I was a little disappointed with the snare, but I think having it be it sounds like a very real snare. It doesn't sound like an electronic snare at all, which is what I was kind of expecting. But having that sound like that, it makes the other sort of program drums coming in feel special. You know, if the snare drum you were hearing the whole time sounded like an electronic snare or some sort of a drum replace snare that sounded perfect, it has a very hollow sound, like thick sound to it, which is really nice. To the point where it's almost competing a little bit with the kick. The kick has a lot of sub frequencies and high frequencies to it, which is nice. Not a lot of low woofiness. The snare has some of that woof, that meatiness to it. This song seems like it's a little more straightforward so far. Yes. They are doing the vocals to perfection, which is they're doing them the same way they did on the other Goldkinder or the other We Butter the Bread with Butter albums. But what they're doing so good is they're utilizing the overdubs to the maximum effect. The heaviness can be increased. The stereo spread can be increased. That's a cool voice. That's getting close to the sort of higher voice of the previous singer, almost more of like a yell. So this guy can do that, unless it's the other vocalist who sings like that. Because the other guy that does the keyboards and the guitars and stuff, I believe, he is the one that did some background some vocals as well on the other two albums. So maybe some of the vocals I was hearing was him doing those. But like I said, the singer they had on these two albums, very unique and different sounding voice. This guy's voice is really cool, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's as unique. That was a really cool drum pattern there. We haven't had as many like drops as I thought we would have so far. This vocal. Love that. And then the low and overdubbed spread. Now this song, the vocals are down to the level they were sort of on the first song. I feel like they were a little hotter on the last two, but again, I'm talking about, one of the things I was talking about was them doing all these, they're utilizing the vocals to the fullest effect. Doing a lot of things that are just absolutely hitting for me. There's like some sort of like a crazy white noise thing in the middle. Oh, that song felt a little short too. All the songs feel like they're a little short because they're not really going back to choruses to me. They feel like it should be going back to a part that I recognize, but I can't really think of it like that. Are you ready? Oh, that's so cheesy. Can you feel the energy? Snare pattern here. Okay, snare back to the 2 and the 4 for that one half a measure. Okay, now we're snare on the 3. Wait. Snare back on the quarter notes. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now a double with the snare on the 2 and the 4. Oh no, that was 1 on the 3 and the 1. I don't want to like hyper focus on drum beats and stuff like that, but that's what they're doing, is changing the beats and the feel of the song so fast. That's what gives it the chaotic feel, changing the timing. And also, obviously, the sounds you're hearing are kind of jumping all over the place. Ooh. Yeah, that's cool. Ooh, that's neat. What's it gonna do after this? Ooh. Oh, this is great. Again, like, turn down for what? Okay, didn't expect that. Love it. Love the very choppy guitar parts. That's a lot of editing on the guitars there to make it sound like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool, heavy part. And then back to the chop. Ooh, double bass. Disappointing. So it would be impossible. Oh, love this. It'd be impossible so far for me to tell you which song I like the most because I have no clue which song is which. Because every song is essentially just cool part, cool part, cool part, cool part, cool part, cool part, cool part. Song's done on the next track. Cool part, cool part, cool part, cool part. Like, this is incredible though. Very Skrillexy. Weep, weep, bitty, wee, da, boo, doo. There's more vocals on this song, so hopefully we'll get like a chorus kind of here. Yeah, this part. I love the 80s synths, the video game stuff sounding though. And the lyrics said they reference like level 1, level 2, level 4, level 5. That's cool. Wow. Oh, yeah. Right in the middle, very dry vocals. Okay. Whoa, those drums. What is that? Is that just a kick by itself? Just a kick by itself? I don't know if I've ever heard a double bass kick with no cymbals. This is the best song on the album. This is going to be such a fun album to put in the car and listen to while you're driving around. Little tiny towns in Nebraska, just driving around bumping this. Love it. Whew. Okay, we get some church organ here, some organ sounds. Very creepy almost. Phantom of the Opera-like almost. So you can already tell this song is structured way more like normally. You have had that long section, then there was a little bit of a break here, and they're still going with the song. It should, I want to point out too, like, ooh, too cool arcade noise. There's the pig squeal. Yeah, this is great. This is probably one of the best songs of the year. This is reminding me more of Goldkinder than Wiedergale. I think that this song hasn't had any part where the song... well, it did have a part where the organs came in, but that was done more traditionally metal. Like, there wasn't a part where everything just stopped and a whole bunch of other stuff played for a while and then the guitars came back in. That was great. Okay, we got some, like, 8-bit... not 8-bit, like 32 or 64-bit sounding like bass part. Boom, boom, boom. I love it. Very dry, spread wide. Now right in the middle, same voice. Okay, some pitch-shifted vocals there. I'm dancing way more in this video than I ever have before, and I should not be doing that at all. But whatever. Music makes you feel... if music makes you feel like you want to move, just move. Hey! When's it gonna come in? No? This is great. What is this? This is track 8. My mom. Oh, the real drums are in there? Or the huge kick, at least. I almost, at this point, it'd be cool if the band didn't come in. That's a guitar patch on something with some sort of like a polyrhythm or a performance patch. I'd love to see some channels react to this song, not knowing that this is part of the song, and just expect the beginning. Tell them it was like some sort of like a German rap song, and have them listen to this. It'd be awesome. Great reaction. This is so fun, though. Except for the fact that we only have like 5 songs left. Love it. Great. Track 9. Oh. I'm going to try to see if I can hear any bass whatsoever, like any definition. Obviously, there's like booming low frequencies happening, but... I wonder how albums like this approach the bass. I mean, the bass could just be all programmed bass, just like low sub-frequency stuff. And then maybe on top of that, they would play an actual bass, but get rid of a lot of the low frequencies from it so that it doesn't compete with it, so that it sounds like someone's playing the bass, and they are in the recording. Very cool. There's some like Static X stuff almost happening here. All of the supplemental things you're hearing in this music that's not guitar, drums, bass, vocals, done fantastically. Some of it's hidden very nicely in the mix so that it's a thickening agent or something to help like establish a rhythm or might help the song feel like it's moving. That stuff is all done to perfection. But then you also have, unlike a lot of metal albums where that's the way it mostly is, you're not supposed to really focus on the synths and stuff, the programmed elements. I always focus on that stuff if you've watched my videos before on my channel. But a lot of metal albums are like that. You're not really supposed to notice it. It's just there to sort of help the song. But there's this album, a ton of things that are in the song that you're supposed to pay attention to, that you're supposed to focus on, because it's like little hints of like modern pop music, hip hop music, trap music, what have you, electronic music, all thrown in there. You're supposed to notice it. It's supposed to be a relevant part of the song and not just a thickening agent. And though that stuff is all done really good too, the artificial reverb that's on stuff is really nice. So you can have like the band is sort of where everything's sitting, and as a listener, you're listening and you understand that guitar, bass, drums, vocal. You understand where those things are mixed in the stereo spectrum. You understand the frequencies that you're hearing. It sounds like a guitar. It sounds, yeah, that sounds. But all these other elements in there, it's done really well so that it's mixed in very nice, I guess, is what I was trying to say. Ooh. Okay, they're retardandoing here. Do it. Oh, I love it. Oh, yeah, just slow down and... That reversed sound in there. They're using a lot of reverse reverb effects and things, which are very nice. Our air conditioner kicked on. I'm sorry if you can hear that. I can't hear it. All I hear is... A fly buzzing. That's very Modest Mouse to have a little fly buzzing. Is the guitar gonna... A violin? Yeah! Oh. Oh, the vocal editing so good. The overdubbing, the editing for this, the manipulation of the sounds. Masterful. I worked at a recording studio for 7 years working on music and all sorts of different things, and I have done a lot of audio editing, and I can really, truly appreciate all of the editing that went into this. Whoa! Yeah! Yeah! Double time here. Okay, now back to the double time kick with the snare. Well, I can't anticipate every drum hit. The vocals are very dry, which is really nice in contrast with all the effects. Yes, chorus double time. Second time repeating the chorus. I love it. That measure of what just happened there. I can't even, I'm sweating. That almost, I'm shocked that that was allowed into this world. Track 11. Oh my god. Oh, my hands are sweaty. Oh. Okay, get past it. Okay, the synths here are really cool. I feel like the back half of the album has been a lot less of the crazy, like, hip-hop stuff. More like Pig Squeal here. Those synths really nice. Very Still Remains. or raunchy. Raunchy and Nemec fight over who's my favorite metal band. Although Raunchy has twice as the amount of albums that Raunchy has. Mook has twice. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Mook and Raunchy are whatever. Who cares about those bands? Oh, that's cool. Yes. We got a high school basketball team sounding patch here. And that really dry. Dun dun. Okay, where's it gonna go? That's a cool patch. That was a really neat keyboard patch sound. It'd be neat if we could get that more in the song a little bit somehow. Oh, cool riff. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I love it. Oh. Oh, that's such a cool riff. I love it. It's the simplest, dumbest thing, and I love it. Oh, thank you for being a cool metal band that will... Oh, oh. Okay, now we're getting back to Necrogoblicon. Goblin voice. Whew. This song might be in a slightly higher key, I would say, but I don't know. It's been a lot... Oh, is it going to fade out? No? Oh my gosh. Track 12. That was a cool little synth tom part. That's a cool voice. That must be the other guy in the band. Because I've heard that voice before, I'm sure. Okay, that synth there that has sidechain compression on it. Some of the stuff does have sidechain compression here. The kick is just a much more standard kick for them. So the synth and some of the other... When the kick was hitting there, the synths were going down in volume and blooming a little because of the sidechain compression on that. Man, this does sound really good. Love it. To me, there's just something cool about the German language. It just is harsh. It sounds so good when it's being screamed. The English language, you know, a lot of foreign languages have words that I feel like are shorter than words in English. And I know German has a lot of long words too, but just the syllables can be separated. Well, maybe that's, I don't know. To me, it sounds like you can take and have all these short, snappy little phrases and words, and it sounds fantastic. But if you did it in English, it would just sound hokey or corny. But in German, because I don't know what they're saying, they could be really corny and hokey, but it just sounds cool to me. It just sounds badass. Okay, we're back to that part where the sidechain compressor's on. It's on it's on almost everything. Definitely the overhead microphones, the cymbals. You can hear them fluctuating a little. Oh, this is very nice. See, I wouldn't mind some of those sections to be a little bit longer. Just giving us 2 measures of them is not necessarily enough. But I get it. Okay, now we're up, playing higher on the... Oh, yeah. This is a nice walking song. Cool, that's how the beginning of the song started with the toms. This is awesome. Okay, a little rain there. Okay, now I think we're on to the last track. I don't know if this is like a full track or not. I don't know what it is. This is just Let's Their Song. Let's Their Song. Not a lot of lyrics here, so this might not be an actual song. Not that their songs were structured like normal songs really anyway, though. Some of the songs, like that last one, This is the last song, the last track. Ooh, what's that sound off to the left? That's interesting. I'm just assuming that this song is about how it's the last song. A lot of cool synths here. I guess this would be a good song to end the concert with. This can be the finale song. Is that all that we're going to have here? And it's just going to be a little nice thing for a minute? Ooh, that low frequency. Oh, this is nice. I assume that nothing will come back in, like, no more band. This is just going to be a nice little thing here. Going for a little while, and then that's it. That little reverse there in the whoop, whoop, whoop. Oh, we might have guitars coming back in. Okay. Sidechain compressor here on these synths. Wop, 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 wop. That's the... Every time the kick hits, they're going... Are we going to come back in one more time, or is that it? Little transformer noises. Oh, boy. Very good vocal editing there. There's a lot of reverby, cool stuff happening there. Very cool. That was a massive last attack. Last... There. Oh my gosh. I just ran out of battery. It just ran out of battery. As the album went back, I saw track 1 again. What are the chances of that? I guess it didn't have enough power in it to get back to the beginning. Oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta go shut our air conditioner off before I talk here at the end. So just hold on one sec. I'll be right back. Just chill. And I'm back with it shut off. And I am like a little bit shook from track 10. I'm going to see if I can listen to track 10 again. Okay, I'm at 240. Okay. I don't know if this will get. I don't think that there's any way any YouTube algorithm could get this, but I'm going to play that sound there in the video for you watching right now because I don't know if I've ever heard anything that this intense in my life ever. Like, it's obviously meant to be shocking and it works. It works. Holy cow, does it work? So I'm going to play that part right now. I me talking to myself editing the video. Look at that waveform. What does that waveform look like? Take a picture of the waveform and put it right here. Now play the sound again. I mean, that's even in a song is incredible. But the thing is, it fits. It works. That's what this is. It's just intense chaos. Okay, so my worrying about the vocalist being a different vocalist was a non-existent worry. It didn't matter at all. In fact, maybe this guy, I feel like, maybe had a little bit more, I don't want to say versatility, but he had really three vocals. He had the low, he had the low growl, he had the sort of higher kind of screamy stuff that he did a couple different ways, including the Necrogoblicon sort of style. The goblin, I don't know what the technical term for it is. And then they had the, man, my head is just, that, listening to track 10 for the first time, that whole album just like made me sweat. But that moment in track 10, play it again. That followed up by what it is followed by, you know, just the metal, the cool bridge of the song. And that's one of the two songs on the album that had the chorus 3 different times, you know. This album was what I expected it to be. I'm going to say I think it was mixed better than Vider, Gale, or Guile, or however you pronounce that. I'm going to say I think it was mixed better than this album. I don't know if I would say it was mixed better than this album because it's a different sort of a style. It's a different thing that they're going for. This album was not about, like, let's surprise you with what you're listening to. It was just more straightforward rock song, like metal songs with rock influence. You know, some lighter moments with a lot of melodic stuff happening in the choruses. You really could separate the parts of the songs easily, the different parts of the sections of the song on this album. You know, you knew when you were listening to a verse, you knew when you were hearing a chorus because the synths and everything came in. And on this album, you got that a little bit. But it was harder on the first half of the album for sure to sort of differentiate the different parts of the songs. I think that that's really the only critique I have because everything else about this just like I said, when it first started, I thought the guitar sounded awful, but now, I mean, I know the guitars didn't sound awful throughout the album at all. I think it was just a thing that they were doing when it first started. And if they did that on purpose, like, let's have some really crappy sounding guitars at the beginning, that's funny. The bass and the kick just were massive like I expected them to be. That's where the sort of hip-hop influence comes in, the sort of modern metal, modern music feeling. Everything is so humongous right now. You know, we have people like Lorde and Billie Eilish who can have whole songs that are very minimalistic with just low frequencies and a little bit of a drum beat and really nothing else happening but vocals. And you can have whole songs like, you know, that are big hit songs because they feel cool. and they feel massive but minimalistic at the same time. And so taking those massive elements and putting them in all these other genres of music is kind of the thing in music right now. And obviously metal is all massive elements. The whole point of metal is to be as massive, not necessarily as massive as possible, but you know what I mean. Like heavy, intense metal is just that's the heaviest, that's the most massive music can really get. But when you're mixing in all these different elements that have, gosh, I'm still sweating. Like my arms are sweating. Mixing together all those different things with the metal elements are really cool. And then, of course, the metal that they're making is a very specific style of, the rhythm-based metal. It's not about these complex riffs that move all over the neck of the guitar. For the most part, it's just chug, 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 but it can be really fast, chugging, all sorts of different things. And that's where their style of metal really meshes nicely with the hip hop, with the different sort of pattern based styles of music. Like I said, trap, things like that. Was really nice. There were a lot of like really cool electronic moments on the album where everything went away and it wasn't so much like a hip hop feel or a trap feel. It was more of an electronic feel. There was some cool, throwback sort of 80s synth sounding things on there that I really liked, some synth bass. The programmed drums were all done super, super well. And the thing is, all of that stuff, with the exception of the super, super low sub frequencies, all the other drums and everything you were hearing was just a few notches below the level of intensity of the actual drums, kick, bass, the drums, bass, guitar, vocals, the metal part, the band part of what we were listening to. That was just a couple notches more than all the other things that were happening, and that was what it needed to be. Sometimes when you have metal bands or heavy bands, not even necessarily just metal, but heavy bands incorporating all these different elements into their music, those elements they're not as familiar with those, and depending on who's mixing the album, who's writing the songs, where that influence is coming from, you can have, I've heard it so many times on albums where like the intro track is this cool like electronic or symphonic or some element that's not really a part of the core sound of the band. The first track is this really neat sounding song, and it's like it feels big and it feels really cool and all the sounds are crisp and clear, and it builds and all this, and then the first real music like metal track starts and it just feels flat. It feels like a letdown, and that's not how this stuff should be. It is done perfect on this album. This is how you do it for people who are making an album mixing heavy elements with electronic elements, with hip hop elements. This is what you look to, because every element that wasn't guitar, bass, drums, vocal was just a few notches underneath. And I'm talking about like the level of zero, the acceptable level that you're listening at. A few moments you can get above that. You can have things get loud to the point where you're like, oh my, I'm almost going to turn it down, but I'm going to leave it because I know it's going to get a little quieter. Like that should be the band when you're talking about metal music. And then having all these other elements in there that are these like really clean, crisp sounding synths or patches or whatever they are, having all that work with the metal aspect of this is not an easy thing to do, getting it all to mesh together really well. And oh man, it was perfect. A lot of use of reverb, like I mentioned, a lot of cavernous reverb used to perfection in a lot of places. There was only one song that I remember where everything kind of went away and there was like a little bit of like a hip hop drum beat, and then we had some like claps coming in and some percussive elements that felt like they had some definition to them rather than just being like a sample, like a dry, straight mono sample. There were some claps, there were some things, and the stereo mix wasn't necessarily being created by just massive like fake sounding reverbs. So that was kind of a neat little section of the song. But for the most part, when you're hearing these reverbs on stuff, it's pretty cavernous, fake sounding reverb. And that's exactly what it needed to be. When you're listening to a sound and you know it's not a sound that was created by someone playing a guitar, a bass, a drum, your brain knows this is a synth part, this is a programmed part, this is a keyboard part, and you can play with that. You can, because your brain knows it is a synthetically created sound and not an acoustically created sound. um, you can play with that. Like I said, you can have effects, you can have it be very fake sounding, you can have it be you can do all these things, and all of that was done on this album really, 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 really well. And so I just don't have much to complain about at all. I think the heaviness was there. The guitars sounded fantastic. They weren't too like I said, the last video I just did was Spirit Box's album, and Spirit Box, the guitars sounded like they were low passed. It sounded like there wasn't necessarily a ton of high frequency definition in the guitars, and that was, I think, done well and done on purpose because they wanted the vocals to sit on top, and they wanted the sort of different synths, the ominous sort of droning sounds. That's what they wanted to fill the space. Whereas with this, you have the guitars and especially the drums and bass filling the space. And then I mentioned it multiple times while we were listening. The vocals were so masterfully done here. The mixing and the editing of the vocals was chef's kiss perfect. I said it in the video. When you have a metal vocalist who can do high-pitched screams and growls, right there automatically you can have high-pitched screams in the middle by themselves, can be heavy. Growls in the middle, panned to the middle by itself, it can be heavy depending on what the guitars and everything else is doing. But then you can add overdubs. You can have a double overdub panned wide of low with the high vocal, or you can have the growls with the panned high spread to the wide. You can do many, 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 many different things. It's very versatile when you have a metal singer that can do high and low. And I'm pretty sure while I was listening there, I could tell that the second guy in the band also did some screaming vocals and maybe some singing. So his vocals, he can layer on top of it. And then you have multiple layers of vocals going, and it can just make it feel massive, but not just necessarily make it feel bigger or massive. It makes it feel like you're on a different part of the song now. And that's what you want to do with music like this, like I've been talking about now forever, the structuring. Like, you want to know, because you're not writing conventionally structured music, there have to be indicators that you're doing something new. You're moving on to like a new part of the song. And changing the way everything sounds is a way to do that. And one way to do that with metal vocals especially is to overdub, layer, multi-layer, harmony stuff. Like, it was done very well on this album. The wall of sound, Phil Spector's wall of sound, was definitely present here, but it was present in the best way possible. When you look at the waveform of a metal song, it's going to be just a big brick of sound, but that's kind of what it's supposed to be. I always had trouble explaining that to my boss, the guy I worked with, who had been in the music industry for 40 years at that point when I was working with him. He just didn't get it. He would look at a waveform and be like, that looks like a solid brick of audio. That's terrible. It was compressed to snot. It's bad. It's bad. But I would try to tell him, like, hey, some music is meant to be intense for the duration of the song. And when that's the case, it's going to look like a brick when you're zoomed out on it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry. It's just compression wars and all sorts of things that probably don't matter to you. But what I'm saying is, this album, Das Album, was done great. The mixing, amazing. The editing in particular really stood out to me. All those times where you hear the vocals go like the stuttery start and stop things, all the times the guitars were doing that. I have done guitars like that before. There's no way a guitar player can play the guitar and just like move his hands and make like a really fast staccato note like that with no sound in the middle. Some person went in there, took all those spaces between the guitars, chopped them off at the end of the waveform, and got rid of them. That's how you make that sound. Because there's always string noise. There's always just guitar tone, amp tone, whatever, what have you. And maybe this was all recorded with the guitars direct in dry, and then they did amp stuff, reamped it and whatnot using digital amplifiers and whatnot. But still, there's signal there. So like, this album was mixed and edited fantastically. Oh, I would say perfectly, really, for what they were going for. Really impressive. Really impressive. I'm still a little shook. Like I said, I liked this a lot more than I thought I was going to. I was really trying to temper my expectations knowing that it was a different singer, because I loved the singer's voice with their 2 previous albums that I have. Such a unique voice. This guy's voice, I feel less unique, but used to perfection. And like I said now multiple times, the parts that they recorded for it were perfect. It was exactly what it needed to be to make this sound the way it sounds. I cannot wait to listen to this again and to just experience the heavy and just experience it. So, whew. Thank you, We Butter the Bread with Butter, for making another fantastic album that will probably, I think I can say definitively, be in my top 12 albums of the year, something I do on my channel here every year. If lists like that sound interesting to you, please go check out my previous years that I've done on my channel. And if you really wanted to do something, see a video that's special that I did, I spent a long time at the end of 2019, beginning part of 2020, figuring out my top 12 albums of the decade from 2010 to 2020. I spent a long time working on that. I have many videos on my channel based on that, but the core 12 videos where I go through and talk about each album. Please go check that out if lists of best albums or albums you should check out is interesting to you. So yeah, that's, I guess, part 1 of my amazing German music that I'm going to be reacting to. I don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing next. I really want to do the Zeromancer album, but I'm a little hesitant to purchase that one because I think I want to hear it first and make sure that it's good enough, because I was looking today and I think the cheapest I would be able to find it would be like close to $30 with shipping. And that's quite a lot for me to spend on a CD. I try to stay under 15 if I can, under 20 for sure, because I'd rather buy, 2 $15 CDs than one $30 CD any day of the week. But I like Zeromancer a lot. Whatever, don't need to get into that. But I've got Zeromancer. I've got, Diablo Swing Orchestra's album is coming out next month, or this month in October. My gosh, it's October 1st. We have new Diablo Swing Orchestra. Yes, I'm so excited for that. That's going to be great. Oh, yes, that's going to be good. Look for that on my channel coming up. Anyway, until then, thank you very much for watching this video. As always, listen to new music and share it with people that you think will like it, and then maybe share it with some people that you don't think would like it, and maybe you can convert them over and they'll find a new band that they really love. That's what it's all about. Listening to new music and sharing it with people. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Today, for the very first time, I'm... Hair is stuck in my teeth. Today, for the very first time... Nope.
Schön wird es sein, aber sehr gut, dass ich dich anspreche. Konnte sowieso nicht widerstehen. Sprich sie einfach an. 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 Sprich sie einfach.
I had to go remove the hair with tweezers. How ridiculous is that? It was way out here. First time that's ever happened to me.